From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Adam Ray. With Gina Grad on news and Bald Brian on sound effects. And now, pour yourself a tall, frosty glass of what the fuck is going on. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice. We're going to mandate get it on. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for sharing. We love that about you. Good day, Gina Grad.
Good day to you.
Handball, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a trumpet update in the midst of all the chaos out there.
Oh, this is what the world needs right now.
Nice to know there's some normalcy out there.
Yeah.
Yes. I went to visit my dad on Sunday. My dad does an interesting thing. There's a lot of virtue signaling going on about now.
Is there?
I noticed, but I'll look into it.
By the way, we were laughing about WeatherTech, who makes floor mats for trucks, weighing in on these trying times and unity and forgiveness and grace. Everybody has to. I was joking about that. As I was joking about that, I got home. I had a email from the guys who make, it's a mass group email from the guys who make my rowing machine. Normally, the subject is, here's how many meters you covered last month. This time, subject, Black Lives Matter. We all stand together. This is a company that makes fitness equipment that black people don't use, by the way. And
seated fitness equipment.
Right.
You're supposed to sit in.
Right. So they're virtue signaling to me that they're all down with the Black Lives Matter movement. Hydro had sent me that. It's pretty incredible if you just read the top of it, Dawson, just for fun. It's funny that we're just talking about every company and everyone having to climb on board. Again, they make a rowing machine. Not a corn rowing machine, a rowing machine.
Easy.
Come on.
And this is, just read the top paragraph.
Dear Hydro, recent events have put a spotlight on the daily struggle that people of color live with from the moment they wake up every morning. It is beyond infuriating to see the promise of the United States, liberty and equality for all, betrayed systematically in the ordinary course of business. And I've heard from both Hydro employees and our community about how deeply they have been affected.
All right. Now, in years past, you'd go, who's this statement from? And it'd go, well, it's a group of attorneys that work on cases that have to, the ACLU give. No, They make workout equipment and they're sending that to me. That's how much fucking virtue signaling is going on in this day and age. And you better be scared, companies. You all better be fucking scared. I then went downstairs to fire up my rowing machine, looked at the smorgasbord of instructors they had who you can train with. No people of color.
My goodness.
I find that curious.
Talk the talk.
Yeah, you're very concerned.
It looks like my high school in Kansas.
Yeah. I'm, of course, an insane person because I read their fucking platitude-filled virtue signaling email, and then the first thing I do is walk downstairs, fire up the rowing machine, and take a picture of the screen to see. There's one that has 12 lily white people on it. There's another one that has 16 lily white people on it. And then I have to count all their instructors. There was one person of color and 20 who aren't. Okay. And a female I couldn't figure out. She could have gone either way. But next time, Hydro, I appreciate. Now, look, I get it. You're not standing with Black Lives Matter. You didn't hear about Black Lives Matter 10 minutes ago, and you don't care about Black Lives Matter. That part I get. You're virtue signaling. I get it. I get what you're doing. You don't want to get caught up in this thing. Everyone has to be on record. Everyone is scared of being wished into the cornfield. I understand. You're Subaru. You're making your cars with love. And I'm not sure. What are you making your attack helicopters with? Vitriol? Or is that with love as well?
That's good vibes.
Yeah, the love ratio is off.
That's where we're at, everybody. I get it. My dad, I went to his house, and my dad does I don't know what the opposite of virtue signaling is. Now we all know that
It's called the Adam Carolla Show.
right. What happened years ago? Thank you. What happened years ago with my dad, as you know, he never did get his third luxury car leased for him because he wouldn't drive it to my house, even though it was under mileage that I had paid for the 3-year lease. So he got himself. He was negotiating with me to get him a third luxury car lease. The 6th year was coming up. He was going for 9 years, but he wouldn't drive the luxury car I leased him to my house. And I told him if he kept driving my stepmom's Honda CR-V to my house, I would be less inclined to lease him a new luxury car. And then he drove the CR-V over one more time. And I said, I just saved myself $800 a month. This is awesome. So my dad, in this Trumpet situation, I went over to go, as you know, it's been an ongoing situation. He wanted a trumpet. He's been asking for a trumpet for 2 years. I finally went and I, not a trumpeter, said to Max Zapata, who knows his way around instruments and has many connections, I think what a logical son would do is I said, find a guy, get me a good trumpet, not a great trumpet, just a good trumpet.
Solid trumpet.
A nice new trumpet. Whatever a V6 Toyota Camry with a leather interior of trumpets would be. And certainly that'll be enough transportation for my dad. And he then went and got, it was a trumpet. It was about a $2,400 trumpet. I got a deal on it. I paid about $12 and change for it. I presented it to my dad. My dad was not happy with my selection, said he didn't like the action in it, and wanted me to return the trumpet to the place where I had the relationship and could get the discount, and then essentially did what people do, like the worst place to buy a sport jacket, the men's shop at the Caesars Palace. Right.
LAX, Caesar's Palace gift shop.
Right. He went to the local trumpet store, walked in, and paid full freight, or I paid full freight for now a $3,600 trumpet. Okay. Finally, that had been presented to him, and we thought Trumpet Gate was over and in our rearview mirror. When I went, some months had passed, and I went to go visit him last Sunday, and I sat down in the basically only room he has in the house, and I looked down, and I saw a familiar-looking trumpet that had some patina on it that was on the stand at his feet, meaning that is the trumpet he has been using for the last several months. It was out and on a stand. And then at some point, I glanced up, and I saw the expensive case that the trumpet I bought sitting on the table, the same place I dropped it off to him several months earlier.
Wow.
And I said, hey, Dad, is that trumpet down there? Is that the new trumpet, or is that the old trumpet? And he goes, oh, that's the old one. And I said, are you playing the old one? And he said, yeah. Huh. And now this is my thing. The exquisite lack of preparation. You know, the meeting had been on the books for 2 weeks. How about you bust? Like you would do with grandma's sweater with the Christmas tree on it when you're 13. Oh, what do you mean? I wear this thing in July. Right? You just happen to see me at Christmas. I'm wearing it. Of course I'm wearing it.
Oh, yes. Did you get me this? Oh, I forgot. I wore it so much. I assume I had it for years.
Yeah, just go ahead and take 4 minutes and swap the trumpets out at that point. But I said, and Max, here's where your homework comes in. I said, I'm not, so why is it you wouldn't play the expensive trumpet that I got you? And he said, you know, you got to like kind of break them in a little bit. You know, it's like there's some break-in action going.
Please do.
You know, I think there's fine little pieces of metallic, like back in the day when you buy a new car and you'd run it for 1,000 miles and change the oil. Like, I'm going to break the motor in, you know, little.
Or they say don't drive over 55 for the first 1,000 miles. Or whatever.
And then change that oil because they have little bits of metal in it from the bearings being seated and things like that. So he's like, break it in. So then, of course, I go, oh, okay. well, maybe I could hire Doc Severinsen to come by and break it in for you. That would cost more. But I said, well, why don't you break it in then? Or why don't you just get used to it? And he said, it sounds kind of gurgly. Like it doesn't sound good. And I said, well, what do you want to do about that? And he said, well, the trumpet place could like undo a valve, or, there's some sort of, catch valve where the extra break-in metal lands up. At this point, I have no idea what he's talking about for sure. Because I said to him, and then he said, I need to take it to the trumpet place. They need to tune it up, for lack of a better term. And the trumpet place is closed with the COVID-19 shutdown. So here we are. And I'm like, I bet they're open enough for you to drop a trumpet off. But also,
Curbside.
I then said to him, have you ever had to do this with any other trumpet you've purchased? And he went, nope. And I thought, now it's unclear what exactly is going on. He also then told me that he had a dream the night before he died. And then I thought to myself, oh, he's never going to play this trumpet that we argued over for a year and it cost me $3,500.
Yeah, you'd think that one of the perks of buying the expensive trumpet is it doesn't have to constantly be dropped off and retuned.
No, Gina, it's the Jaguar of trumpets. You need two of them.
Right.
You need one for parts and one to play.
Maxapat, does any of this sound correct to anybody? Does anyone know what we're talking about? Well, anyway, look, the guy literally has 6 weeks, and he's not going to play this trumpet. That's where we got to.
Let me throw this out to you. I used to have this thing. I broke myself this. I realized this was like a character flaw, and like I had to like change, because if I ever got anything nice, especially in my porter days, like God forbid I was gifted something nice, or I came from the radio show, who knows, I would not use it out of like a thing in my mind. I guess I was like, oh, this is nice, I need to save this for the right occasion. And then years would fucking pass. Like I got an example. I got a great set, my first set of like really nice towels, right? White, fluffy, beautiful towels. And I was like, oh, I can't use these in my apartment. They'll go to waste. 8 years later, I moved out of that apartment and I opened the box and rats had eaten through the towels. Do you think there's any of that with your dad, or do you think it's more passive aggressive?
I don't know. I have a little bit of that as well. I have that as well. I think all poor people or formerly poor people have a little bit of that in them.
You cling to this thing. You're like, you should be using this. This is a nice thing that can improve your life.
It's for a special occasion that never comes.
Yes, kind of.
I think my dad, in my dad's world of never accomplishing anything, it's always about the journey and never about the result. It's like It was 15 conversations about, hey, man, do you think you could buy me a trumpet? It's spread out over the course of 6 years, but it was like, hey, man. It's an interesting thing, which is people don't like me because I'm so curt. I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? Good, fine, next. Like, Matt will go, I talked to the tile guy. The tile guy, he didn't have any answers. But I'm thinking, I'll go, next. What's next? Here we go. What's next? And people don't like it. But my thing is like, I want to get some shit done while I'm alive. And I get it. The tile's not coming. We'll go to the next subject. Other people love the process. And that process, for some people, they're not about the bottom line. How many people who've talked about writing a book and never written a fucking book?
A screenplay, but yeah.
Whatever. It just goes on and on and on. My feeling is, you're just wasting your life, because we're going on year 7 of you talking about writing a screenplay and you've done nothing. Just go do it. It'll come out like shit. No one will buy it. Fine. Go write it.
Or for the love of God, please never bring it up again.
Right. My family likes the process. And so my dad's process is like, hey, what about that trumpet? I was thinking about a trumpet. So after 5 years, I get him a trumpet. And of course I get him the trumpet. And it's like, we got issues with the trumpet. Right. So the first trumpet, it's a $2,000 trumpet or a $1,400 trumpet or whatever it is. And we got issues. Well, really think about it. Why do we have issues with the first trumpet if you don't enjoy the dance? Do you know what I'm saying? It's not about getting the trumpet and playing the trumpet. It's the journey of the dance and the interactions. And hey, I could use this. And hey, I could use that. So when you get to the very end and you've actually provided all that they've needed, they move They move right on. Right on
to another journey.
Yes, we were it was Corona, COVID-19, boom, racism. Pow, turn the page. We're done. Here we go. What's next? All right, so now I'm not sure if the trumpets, I guess I can inquire about taking it in and having it serviced.
Did it occur to you that maybe he just wanted to talk?
About trumpets?
No, I just wanted to hear your voice, and the trumpet was saying, maybe this is
the kids of the flute.
It's the last verse of Cats in the Cradle. My boy was just like me.
I told Dawson to get ready with my dad playing, and I somehow thought, boy, it's just like I would kill myself. By the way, you got some dad drops there, Brian?
I just sent them to him. Yeah, you get.
Okay.
Sorry.
I just thought it'd be fun to have a few.
I'd have to download them. It would take a while.
All right. Max Bad, we discussed this 2 days ago, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
I don't want people to think I just sprung it on you. It was discussed.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll get into that
I'll have them ready.
When you have them ready. I got another. I got an interesting clip. One you guys may have heard before, but it's because we were talking. We did a little dive into Denzel Washington and why more people aren't named Denzel.
Right.
And how beloved Denzel is and how popular he is and how much we all love him. Clip from 2017. I watched all of the 2 hours on CNN's Black Like Me, Can't Breathe in America, what it's like growing up in America as a black man. I saw the 2-hour expose on that. They hit almost every subject, but they missed one small little component.
Wonder what it is.
We'll hear Denzel's thoughts on it.
For Black people in particular, do you think that we can truly make change as things are right now?
Well, it starts in the home. You know, if the father's not in the home, the boy will find the father in the streets. Yeah, I saw it in my generation and every generation before me and everyone since. It starts in the home. You know, if the streets raise you, then the judge becomes your mother and prison becomes your home.
Well, they gave a whole 2 hours to the experience growing up black in America. They didn't cover the home and the dad's part. Well, maybe during the next special, perhaps, because they really want to fix things, and that much we know.
That's about the nicest way you can say it, too. Like, as opposed to dads, don't fucking abandon your kids. That was the most diplomatic way you could probably get that across.
Yeah, and I think he's got some cred, and I think we should listen to Denzel.
I'd say so.
Let's see. I also had a crazy clip from Dr. Barbara Ferrer. I don't know if you guys heard it today, but this chick is full batshit crazy at this particular...
The county health director?
I would not want her in charge of cleaning cars at an Alamo rental agency in the San Francisco airport, much less setting policy. And the thing you got to listen about with her is, as I was screaming about yesterday, we had riots in the streets. How come half of New York's police force is not homesick right now? They've been battling in the streets. New York's been the hardest hit. And these cops have been battling in the streets with throngs of people. Why aren't they decimated by this disease? Why are they not? It's been a week. Why are they just not home with the blue flu? I don't mean the blue flu, but what I mean is the COVID-19. Why is it not impacted LAPD? All the major, Minneapolis. Why are all these police departments? I mean, we should be hearing stories that they're at half capacity or that they're down or they need the National Guard to come in because they're down. People are all coming down with this thing, this virus. So my contention is it's been a week. If everyone was getting it, everyone's coming down with it, we would know about it. There's a very interesting thing that she does, that everyone does. They go, we'll know in the next coming weeks. and they like pluralize it. And they always go, hey, we had this big thing happen. People weren't social distancing. They're putting their hand. So in the upcoming weeks, we'll know. Well, first off, it's not upcoming weeks. It's 2 weeks. And it's not 2 weeks. It's 5 or 7 days. So we're there. Number one. Number two, how come no one ever says, you mean 2 weeks? Okay. What's the fucking date today? Oh, okay. What is it? It's the 5th? Okay. So 19th, we'll be back. You'll have some data with you then that we'll be able to talk about. It's like in the next few weeks, like you'll know in the next few weeks. I mean, the buzz off, we'll give you nothing. By the way, that's pretty easy to do. You could get up there. Let's say, all right, let's just listen to this crackpot. Let's listen to the beach one first and listen how she couches this.
Obviously, when I look and I see people on the beach that are really close together without face coverings, or people on a boardwalk that are really close together without face coverings, or people that are peacefully protesting without their face coverings, I'm going to be worried.
All right, pause it there.
And you should be worried as well.
All right, but protests come after the beach? So she's worried about the beach. She's worried about the beach. 0 transmission on the beach. She's worried. She's worried about the boardwalk. I don't know what part of Atlantic City she's covering, but she's worried about the boardwalk. She's worried about the beach. And she's worried about people peacefully protesting. Well, I'm glad she wedged in the word peaceful, but she should be worried about people who aren't peacefully protesting. She should be worried about people that are getting in each other's grill and yelling in each other's faces and putting their hands on them. But she's worried about the peaceful protests, not the uprising, not what we've seen on the news. She worries more about the peaceful people. Now, I would worry less about the peaceful people who are protesting, because they tend to wear masks and they tend to respect social distancing. So I would worry more about the non-peaceful protests, but those are where she's putting her focus and her agenda. Okay, Miss Policy person who's supposed to be focusing on the nuts and the bolts so we can reopen the economy. Sorry, you can play it out, Max Zapata.
We need to keep the distance, as much distance from each other when we're out and about, and we need to wear our face coverings. And that's how we get through the pandemic. So when we see examples where that's not happening, it's a cause for concern. And from my perspective, it's also a reminder to each of us that we can help other people remember how to be respectful and kind to each other by using those cloth face coverings. And so I know that, it would be great if we could say, this is when it's going to happen. I will tell you in general, how we behave today shows up in our numbers 3 to 4 weeks from now. It'll show up in our numbers of hospitalizations, and it'll show up in our numbers of people who may die. But we do have to wait a while, because this is a virus that takes 14 days to incubate. And then oftentimes people may have either no illness or mild illness before they will show up at a hospital. And the numbers we're going to worry about the most are what's happening in our hospitals, because that's where we need to make sure we don't lose our capacity to take care of everyone.
Okay, good. Trouble. Good. Now get back to us then. So get back to us. We got 14 days, whatever it is. It's been a week. Okay, good. Let's get back to us. Keep us updated. Tell us how those hospitals are doing. Remember, you got to be kind to one another. Her and Ellen. That's their battle call. You got to be kind. And
she's probably nicer than Ellen.
She worries about everyone.
To be fair,
Attila the Hun is nicer than Alan. And she worries about the peaceful protesters out there. But first, in order of concern, it's people on the beach. And then it's people on the boardwalk. And then it's the peaceful protesters. Okay. I don't know. I feel like she's got a little agenda. I feel like we should get someone out there. You know who I miss? C. Everett Koop.
Oh, yes.
Sweet beard.
Surgeon General.
He's dressed like Captain. Bow tie. He's dressed like Captain Crunch. He's got a Mennonite's beard.
Yeah.
That's right.
And he's just spitting truth. She's up there talking about good vibes and hugging it out, but from a safe distance.
Yeah. My grandfather was friends with him. He was the pathologist. And so a lot of C. Everett Koop talk growing up in our house. There he is.
There he is.
He'll be missed. Also, I'll play you one more 1-minute clip. I don't know if you know just how racist this disease is, but Dr. Barbara Ferrer, who's director of the LA County Department of Health, and she's the tip of the spear for eradicating this disease. Let's hear some of her thoughts, opinions, and solutions as to eradicating this disease, especially in our African American community. Here we go.
We know that Black Americans fare worse than other groups on virtually every measure of health status. And it has become all too common to blame this on individual behaviors, when in fact the science is clear.
All right, pause
the
it.
root cause of health inequity.
I think some of it could be individual behaviors, right?
Of course.
But the science is clear, Brian. This person's a doctor, and she's telling you the science is clear. It's not about individual behavior. It's not.
Okay.
All right.
Well, she's not a medical doctor.
Feels like it would be all about individual behavior.
Rewind it 10 seconds, Max. The science is clear. It's not about individual behavior. Okay.
Of health status. And it has become all too common to blame this on individual behaviors, when in fact the science is clear. The root cause of health inequities is racism and discrimination, and how it limits access to the very opportunities and resources each of us need for optimal health and well-being. Science also tells us that lifetime stress associated with experiences of daily acts of discrimination and oppression play a major role. It starts at birth with higher rates of Black infant mortality and extends through adulthood, when we see Black residents in LA County experiencing earlier onset of heart disease, hypertension, and diabetes, and earlier deaths. When I report each week that we have seen elevated numbers of Black deaths in this county due to COVID-19, I am reporting on the consequences of these long-standing inequities.
All right. Well, science tells us it's not about individual behavior. All right. We got this crackpot deciding when we hit the beach and when I can go out and get some sushi, everybody. Look out, baby. This chick scares me. She is fucking nuts.
And remember, she's not a medical doctor, and we've already proven that. No, she's a social worker.
Oh,
if that clarifies the picture even
makes a little more sense. Yeah.
And also, Cuomo already said the virus is being contracted when people get sick and go back home to quarantine and hunker down and give it to their families.
All right. Well, we got all this to look forward to. I'm excited because James up here, 42 from Dallas, worked on a Ford GT40 that won Le Mans. I'm shifting gears here. James, 42.
Literally.
Dallas.
Yeah, I'm here.
Which one did you work on?
Number 5, the gold one.
Oh, the gold one. Did that win Le Mans or come in third place?
Well, I thought the story was they all had to come across the line together. I don't remember the history about it. I just remember the guy that owned it. Big collector.
They didn't all three win the race, crackpot. They crossed together, and then they gave the win to Bruce McLaren, and then they gave second place to Ken Miles, and then the car you worked on took third place.
Okay. I fully trust you.
All right, I'm sorry for being a douche, but it didn't win Le Mans. It came in third at Le Mans, which is fine, but it's not the same as the difference between the car that won Le Mans. Hold on. The difference between the car that won that Le Mans and the car that came in third place is probably $30 million in terms of the exact same car and the price that car would sell for. Hey, James?
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up right now.
I saw that car. That car got bought by the Shelby Museum. We saw that car outside of Denver, right?
I don't remember where it was. This was in Wisconsin.
Wait a minute. Why do I know more about the car you restored?
You're so curt.
I know.
It was a long time ago.
Oh, well, it's sold at auction, like at Gooding or RM at Pebble Beach, I think like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But anyway, sold for like 10 and a half.
Finished third overall, sold for $12 million. Yeah.
Oh, on third overall. Let me write that down. So what'd you get to do on the car? I'm so a douche. I know.
You tell him what he did on the car.
Well, I'm looking up at my screen, and it said, help restore the GT40 that won Le Mans. That's the problem.
the owner, the collector, back when I was in high school, I'm 42. When I was in high school, I was working at a restoration shop, doing grunt work, grinding fiberglass and shit outside. And the collector, I think he lived in Ohio or Iowa, but he kept all of his cars next door to this restoration shop, and he raced them. Almost all of his cars had race history, and they were all Cobras. He had the Daytona, the blue Daytona as well.
Ooh, he had a Daytona. That's expensive.
2 GT350s, as well as 2 of the AC Cobras, but they all had race history. That was his big thing, and he would take them out just like you did and race them at vintage races. And they had a reenactment of the Le Mans race. I don't remember if it was like the 50th anniversary or what, but they had it crated up, and they took it over to France, flew over to France, and he wrecked it. And that's why I think it's so interesting. The story is interesting because nothing that I've read online says anything about what happened. But I mean, it was completely destroyed. It ended up being about $1 million worth of damage.
Well, again, and thanks, James. Sorry for being a douche. These are trying times. I'm under a lot of pressure.
Everyone's under a lot of stress.
I want to go.
This is the only kind of race you want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to go to the beach and eat sushi.
Yeah.
These cars get banged up and jacked up in $1 million restorations, but they never fully get destroyed because they're worth so much money that they find a way to put them back, and that's probably what happened. Oh, it's definitely worth it.
And how?
All right, let's see. Thoughts on finding peace in a world right now? So much negativity. Brian, you were going to say what?
I was going to throw out some info just because I looked it up when you mentioned it, because I get the footage confused because there's so many riots going on in so many different cities, and it's all, LA, New York, blah, 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 blah. And I mentioned yesterday one of the reasons you might not see a spike, or you theorize one of the reasons you might not see a spike, is all the protesters are wearing masks, or at least 75, 90% of them. I looked up New York PD riots 2020, and this is the first picture that came up. They're all wearing the shields and masks.
Right. Well, they're wearing them now too.
Not to say there won't be some infections, but maybe perhaps a reason why you wouldn't see a spike in a week or so.
Yeah, but the people they're talking to, the woman they're talking to, is not wearing a mask. Well, first off,
right.
I think the mask, or from what I understand from a mask, you wearing a sort of medical grade mask and applying it correctly and being consistent with it is effective. The way many people wear their masks, especially when they're pulling them down, like taking a bite of their sandwich and pulling it back up and then wearing it down underneath their nose, and also the cheap cotton ones that they keep reusing, and that kind of keep it in your hip pocket or hanging from your car rear view. I don't think that's that. I think a lot of that is window dressing, but I don't think a lot of it is like medically sound and effective. I think people on top of each other screaming at the top of their lungs, if they're wearing masks, and I think a lot of them wear the mask to the event, but once the shit goes down, I feel like some of those masks are flying off or what have you. So
this is not a hill I want to die on, but 2 of the 3 people you can see in that picture are wearing masks. The protesters and the cops are doubling up masks.
Well, they also have that windjammer shield in front of them too.
I'm just saying this could be a reasonable explanation why you would not see a huge spike.
I disagree with that. I think that if you see tons of pictures, and I watched all the LA stuff, you see tons of people with no mask and they're going at it. And I think the few or the ones that do wear masks, I don't think it's going to prevent. I think all it takes is a handful of people not wearing masks to spread it around. Well, you can see, I mean, there's lots of footage of it. I think it's too chaotic. I think if it was more confined, or, if it was more like you stand there, I'll stand there, you wear a mask, I wear a mask. I think with the chaos of it, with people running and screaming and on each other and like physically, I feel like it's just all being spread. I do think there's people wearing masks, and I do think there's cops with shields and like face shields for probably protection from Molotov cocktails.
Sure.
But I don't feel like that would impact it if it was the kind of disease that we think it is. Like if we think, well, the people wearing the masks are going to be safe and the ones that don't wear the mask are going to get it. Okay, well then out of the 50,000 people that hit the streets in L.A. last night, 15,000 would come down with it because they didn't wear the mask or what have you.
500 or 1,000 or whatever it is.
And
we'll
also
go
I
into
see,
coming weeks.
I watched the news. It's like half
The coming weeks.
Yeah, coming weeks and months and years. Half the cops, I'm watching the news last night, down in Van Nuys, store owners with guns. Half the cops that roll up don't have masks on.
No.
And half do. And half the store owner people have it on and the other half doesn't. It's crazy footage I was watching out of Van Nuys. I was telling you the way, unfortunately, to solve this problem, we're talking about Sylmar, Van Nuys, get the Vatos, get the Mexicans, tell them to go get their guns, and they stand right out front of their fucking store. And guess what's effective in preventing your store from being looted? 3 you guys with shotguns standing in front of the store. And then everyone always does this. Is that really what it has to come down to? It's like, well, evidently that's what it has to come down to. Yes.
As Drew says, reality on reality's terms.
Yes.
If you can say, I'll give you guys $500 to keep this place, if this place is safe in the morning, $500. And that's well worth it.
These guys own the store. They're all standing out front. These looters like pulled up. It's so funny how brazen everyone is. Like the looters like pulled up and they were like, the place across the alley, like across the driveway, was gold. Like, we buy gold and we sell gold. Like gold on the thing. And so like the looters pulled up and the looters were like, hey, and the guys with the shotguns are like, hey, be on your way. And the looter's like, hey, man, this doesn't involve you. We're doing the gold store. And the guys with the shotguns are like, those are our neighbors, so you're not going to be looting them. And they're like, hey, man, this is none of your business. And they're like having this kind of discussion about looting.
Make it my business.
Like, they had offended the looters. The looter's like, I said good day. And he threw his cape over his shoulder and he stomped away.
I invoked the rule of parlay.
Yes. They were literally telling him to buzz off because they had shotguns, and the looters were like, come on, we're not looting your liquor store. We're looting the gold place across the way. It's a surreal conversation to have. We can see some footage of it. It's out in front of Van Nuys. These guys, look, the cops, the mayor Garcetti, the cops, whatever, they'd go, no, don't go in front of your liquor store. Don't. This liquor store is my family business, and I would not like it smashed to pieces and set on fire. You guys are not going to effectively prevent that from happening, so I shall get my gun and stand in front of it.
Well, to be fair, Garcetti did have a very viable solution. I believe in a press conference yesterday, he asked the looters to speak to their better angels.
Right. Okay.
So he has solutions, Adam.
That's true. All right. Well,
there's a guy named Angel. It's a guy named Angel, the shotgun outside.
Yeah. We can play the clip, I think. It's Fox 11. I was just watching it yesterday.
They're having a standoff here.
Oh, my God.
Arguing about why they're not being allowed to break into the place.
Allowed?
So I'm
those guys,
you listen to this.
So these are looters
Yes.
squaring off with community members holding weapons on the street.
Yes.
And where are all those cops that just drove past you?
They're 3 blocks down.
They're doing the cop's job.
This is really something here to see those store owners who want to protect their own business, yet they're by a business that is so vulnerable. Okay, so that's her family?
All right, you can pause it. It's like, I remember that time I got that gift certificate to Barney's in New York, and it was for $1,500, and I bought $1,478 worth of merchandise, and then I wanted the $12 back. It was one of those arguments, the same kind of thing. Like, hey,
same thing.
Hello, we're here to loot. Excuse me, not today. What? But we're here to loot. Yeah, I know, but this is our store. Oh, man, why you got to do me that way? What's up?
Like, how dare you?
Be cool.
These guys were here to loot, but they said, no, you can't loot, and now we got an issue.
Well, did you see what happened to those poor liquor store owners afterwards? Somebody comes running up saying, hey, they're trying to loot, and they throw the owners against the wall and start handcuffing them.
The cops,
while the looters get away.
It was even worse. The cops drove past the situation. The owners of the liquor store and family members I would argue the chick wearing the wife beater who was going about 80 plus pounds extra on her. I would argue that there's probably better attire to run the cops down with. But she ran the cops down. The cops turned around and went like, what? And they came back. And of course, all they saw is the Mexicans and the black guys holding shotguns. And they ran right up to them and started putting zip ties on them. Now, this is what people don't understand. Cops are not inherently smart. They did not know what was going on. They showed up at a scene. They saw some people with no guns. The looters, the attempted looters, were disgusted and went back to their penthouse apartments in Manhattan. But they had left. The cops show up, and all they see is guys basically dressed like gangbangers holding shotguns. So if you have a weapon, your job one for the cops. The cops then rush up to those guys, tell them, get those weapons down, get them out, we'll zip tie you, and we'll hear your story after your weapons are out of your hands and you're zip tied. Of course, everyone's yelling at them. We're not the problem. We're not the looters. We're the solution.
The reporter was the one yelling, no, it's not them.
By the way, she's got the bandana, the science of the mask. She's got the bandana over her face. Then it's like pulls it down, starts yelling at the cops, and pushes it back up again. Then says, I know I should be wearing my bandana, like into the mic, and then pulls it down and then pulls it up again. It's not an exact science. So to be fair to the cops, after the dust settles, they go, okay, they got who they were, and they cut off the zip ties and sort of went as you were, I guess. But those guys protected their stores, not in theory, practically from looting. People showed up to loot, and they warded them off. Now, look, y'all, I know a lot of people don't like guns. Guns in the hands of looters, bad. Guns in the hands of responsible business owners, in this case, good. That's my relationship with guns. Not is the gun good or bad. Aren't we all glad those guys, there was not fires in Van Nuys because those guys stood out front and guarded their stores?
No, not today.
Yes. I wish every responsible person who wanted and desired to have a gun could have a gun.
I absolutely agree. All right, we'll take a break. We got a few more phone calls. Adam Ray's coming up, and we'll do that right after this.
The Adam Carolla Show salutes the winners of the COVID-19 pandemic. Remember when all we talked about was Tiger King? Ah, good times. Except for Carol Baskin. There's a real good chance she murdered at least one of her husbands and fed his dead body to a bunch of tigers. Nobody cares anymore. In fact, some people are probably wondering, can we rent those tigers out? Because there's a lot of people we'd like to throw in there. So Carol Baskin, congratulations. You are the winner of COVID-19.
All right, let's talk to, Susie Homemaker from Texas. Susie?
Hi, Adam. How are you?
I'm doing well, considering all the chaos. What's up with you?
You're a voice of reasoning. Thank you so much. Listening to you has totally restored my faith in everything.
Wow, thanks.
Yeah. No, I think you're just a real deal. I've been on Twitter today and just posting some positive things and being attacked for no apparent reason. And I think just because I want peace in the world, there are just people out there that don't want that. And, I was raised in an Irish Catholic Italian family. I'm a Catholic school girl from Fort Lauderdale, and born and raised, and then here in Texas. And I've done television. I've had my own TV shows and my own radio shows as well. And it's all about home. My whole brand is about home. Susie Homemaker is 100 years old, my brand. And the one thing I was raised with, Adam, is I didn't see color. My mother and father did a great job in raising my brother and sister and I on not being racist. Basically, I went to school. My friends were of all race, color, and creed, but I never really noticed that because it was a natural feeling for me. My mother calls it the gray matter, to see everything gray, because truly, if we're in the middle, we can see everybody's feelings, and we can understand people better. So I've come from this being raised, and I'm finding myself very lost in a world of hate right now, because any president that I've voted for, it doesn't matter, Democrat or Republican, I always got behind it because that's what I was taught, to support and be law-abiding and support, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what we need to do, because whoever's going to be in office, Democrat or Republican, they're our leaders, and if we don't get behind them, we're in a lot of trouble. And my situation is I like to live in the gray matter because I like to see everybody's side of it. And that's, and when I run my business and I have issues in my business, I listen to all sides.
Yeah.
It's not just it's not a me thing, but I'm scared because I simply somebody posted a flag upside down and I posted one upside and they said, let me fix that for you. I cannot tell you the people that came after me online. I was shocked. I had to block people. They were like getting knives out to attack me.
Well, all right, calm down. Hold on, Susie Homemaker. I had this conversation with a young Peter, philosophy major, earlier today, which is, I was saying, I'm not a fan per se of de Blasio, the mayor of New York, but when de Blasio says very sensible things like these officers cannot be put in jeopardy by being blocked in their car, and the next time you're worried about somebody being hit by a patrol car, don't surround the patrol car and try to break the windows. I go, that guy, who I disagree with many of the things he says, spot on that point. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
So, number one, why would you throw the baby out with the bathwater? And then Peter said to me, well, of course, that's the way you think. It's a better way to think. It actually benefits you. Because if you were going to say every single thing this guy says is wrong, then imagine me going, well, I don't agree with de Blasio, so then he says this. And I go, now I got to burn a bunch of calories making a very true statement wrong. Why do that?
Right.
Why not go, I disagree with a lot of the stuff he says, but not that. That we agree on. And I've always argued that, when people go, they'll take some figure. It was my Duplass brother argument when they were talking about Ben Shapiro, because back when we were just sort of doing what we're doing now, when Mark Duplass, one of the Duplass brothers, said, hey, Ben Shapiro's a good guy, and then he had to retract that statement where he had to basically explain that he disagreed with everything Ben Shapiro said. I thought, why do we say that all the time? Disagree with everything this person says or thinks or is about. That's insane. Nobody feels that way. I don't care for Spike Lee, but I would never say I disagree with everything that guy says. We probably agree on many subjects. We certainly have to at least begin with that dialogue. And then also, why live a life where you have to announce you disagree with everything this guy says, and then when he says something that's true and obvious that you should agree with, you then reflexively disagree with it?
You're painted into a corner.
Yeah, what kind of life is that for you?
But Adam, I have to ask you this. The nighttime TV show hosts are turning into the news, and that's entertainment. When we used to watch Johnny Carson entertain us at nighttime, and we used to laugh and have a great time. Now I feel like I'm watching another news station. And another thing is, when I was being trained for television, the first thing they said to me was, always stay central, Susie. And they asked me, what if there was one thing you didn't like, and it was simple, what would you say? I said, I don't like dark fingernail polish. They said, never say you don't like dark fingernail polish, because you'll get a bunch of people coming at you for it.
Yeah.
So I was taught in
our
the
first guest,
industry,
Trent Reznor's coming to the show. Trent, come on out here. Oh,
Marilyn Manson.
Mr. Manson moved down the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
All right, Susie. We got it. Yes, neutral. Everyone has to pick a lane. Everyone needs to declare a major now.
Twitter is in the place for nuanced commentary too. You know what I mean? People often take if this or that, the thing you were talking about, Adam, this or that point of view.
I was thinking about Johnny Carson. Actually, I've always thought about Jimmy Carter, but now I'm going to add Johnny Carson on the happy side of that. So it's like, I've laughed that Jimmy Carter sits home, he watches CNN, he watches the Saturday or Sunday morning roundtable debates. The the first guy gets up there. They talk about what a pig Trump is and what a disgrace he is and how this guy doesn't represent the office. And he's a misogynist and abusive to women and everything else. And then the guy on the right side goes, well, I mean, look at Jimmy Carter. And I always picture Jimmy Carter listening, you know. This guy's married to the same woman for 65 years, a devout Christian, never stopped volunteering his time, never spoke ill of anyone, never used a curse word. And Jimmy's got to be watching, like smiling, and he was the worst president we've ever had. And then Jimmy breaks his pencil, right?
Son of a bitch.
Right. But now, think about the treatment Johnny Carson is getting. Because by all accounts, he was an alcoholic who was cold and mean to almost everyone he ever met. But it's like, now we're like, we used to watch Johnny Carson. We all got together every night to laugh. We all laughed every night. We had a great time every night. And Carson, that guy did it right. I didn't know what his politics were. All I knew is we got together and we all had a big old laugh. And it's like, oh, because his stock's going up now in this new world order. And
looks better.
Jimmy's was heading up, and then it always drops right at
it crashed
right at the end. All right, let's see. Someone's got a question about racism. Doug, 50, Arizona.
What's up, Ace-Man?
What's going on, Doug?
Not much. Bald. Gina, how you guys doing?
Hey.
Hey, how are the twins?
Are you talking to Adam or me?
Adam?
Gina.
Yeah, I was going to say Gina.
It's so interesting. We were eating dinner last night, and Lynette was explaining that tomorrow is your graduation, and Sonny,
from homeschool.
Yeah,
from Zoom.
They do this stupid see, the thing about Sonny is all the ceremonial stuff in life that doesn't make sense to him that everyone does. It's like he's like, yeah, okay.
You look so happy in that debutante picture, though.
And the cotillion.
Cotillion, that was it. The cotillion picture.
It's like he realizes that anyone with a pulse graduates into the 8th grade. He realizes that it's all done from home. He realizes that Principal so-and-so is going to read from a pre-prepared script and then just insert kids' names in. And for him, it's a big nothing burger, so he's not interested at all. I remember having those thoughts as well too about graduation and stuff like that. I was like, there's so many people that are graduating. How am I defining myself? I'm not on the dean's list. But here was something pretty telling. Lynette said to Sonny, well, tell me what your favorite meal is, and we'll have your favorite meal for dinner tomorrow night for graduation dinner. And he's like, I don't know, surprise me. He walked down the room. Well, because the fucking guy eats surf and turf every other night, right? There's no bloom left on his rose. For us to be like, oh my God, it's lasagna. We're having lasagna. Yeah. It was that favorite meal. Think about the favorite meal and what it meant. He's eating his favorite meal 5 nights a week. So he doesn't give a shit about a favorite, meaning we have robbed him of his favorite meal because he's always eating his favorite meal because he's always eating whatever he wants to eat.
We cut to Sonny on death row. Oh, what would you like for your last meal, son? Do I look like I give a shit?
Surprise me.
That's so funny.
So sweet.
He hates it. And that's so funny that you said that because when I was a kid, every year I knew I could pick anything I wanted and I got to have spaghetti and meatballs on my red Someone Is Special Today plate.
Ooh la la.
Kids would give a shit about that.
Oh, was for us, it was like pineapple upside down cake. That was the once a year you get what you want cake. And,
delicious and so goyish.
I know. So there are no more special celebration meals every day because we gave everyone too much, too early, too often that we kind of burnt them out of that. And what we didn't realize is in a never-ending attempt to make everyone happy all the time, we just took this moment where you went, what's your special meal? And he's like, I don't know, whatever you got, whatever you want, no thoughts. We robbed him of that. People don't.
What makes something special? You don't do it all the time.
Right. People don't understand that part
Can
of
I mention
life.
something quickly, only because it's related to graduation not being that big of a deal? I wasn't going to mention this, but now it's actually timely. My high school reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're reaching out to some notable alumni. Would you record a message for this year's graduating class?" And I thought, "Oh, that's nice." And some jokers named Tom Brady and Lynn Swan were apparently amongst the other notable alumni. I don't know who those fucking guys are, but I thought to myself, we'll look them up. We'll figure out who they are, if they're verified or not. I channeled my inner Adam Carolla because I thought. Everyone's going to do this platitudinal, "Hey, congratulations, you've been through such a tough year, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, I'll do something kind of at least irreverent, if not, funny, just at least different. And I basically was like, listen, graduation, way overrated. Here's all I remember about mine. It was hot, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. So,
Gina, you could do the Never Been to Me song. You could do the lyrics from You've Slept with Kings. And
Ooh, I've been to Georgia and California and anywhere I could run. I took the sweet life, but never knew I'd be bitter from the sweet. I spent my life ignoring the some no whoring that might have made me complete. Oh, baby, I've been to paradise, but I've never been to me.
That was actually
wait, maybe my dad could.
Well, that's a
talk
Conway
about the
did.
part where you blew a king.
Oh yeah, I've been undressed by kings, and I've seen some things that I'm supposed to see. I've been to paradise, but I've never been to me. Hey. You know what paradise is?
This is what you got to write down. Right. This is what you tell the kids. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What's paradise?
A fantasy we created about people and places as we'd like them to be. But you know what truth is? It's that little baby you're holding. And it's that man you fought with this morning. The same one you're going to make love to tonight. That's love. That's truth. Sometimes I've been to crying for unborn children that might have made me complete. Should that be my speech?
What happened to the trumpet,
Gina,
Dawson?
that was Lynn Swan's speech.
Why'd you leave in the middle of the Dawson?
You
Dawson
took
in the
Lynn
middle of the
Swan's
trumpet
word for it.
mashup. All right. All right. Dawson's he got bored with his own bit and left right in the middle of it.
Well, Brian, you're in good company because they had some people from KFI do those as well. And, some were sincere and some were other. And Conway did one and he said, I don't know, whatever, find someone, just surround your life with people who make you laugh or don't. I don't give a shit.
That's real advice. None of those kids care about it. You've been through a lot this year. It's like,
we know, we were there.
We have Brian's grad.
Oh, shit.
Look, it's the fact that they reached out. And then
absolutely.
I also then took the time to tell Sonny that someone had quoted me underneath their senior picture.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was in love with as well. But we'll play it, Max Bad, and then we'll get to that.
What's happening, Padre class of 2020? Brian Bishop here from the class of 96. Wanted to say congratulations on graduation. I know you guys are probably a little bummed out about not being able to do the official graduation ceremony, walk in and all that stuff. I'm here to tell you graduation is way overrated. All I remember of my graduation day was it was hot, it was early, and Mr. Carboni threatened to not give us our diplomas because we dared to throw our caps in the air like they do at every other graduation. So really, you're not missing much. What's important is you guys are graduates. You're part of the alumni community. Welcome. And don't forget, once a Padre, always a Padre. Congratulations, you guys.
They asked me to say that at the end.
Is Carboni still there?
I think he died.
That'll get a big laugh. Oh,
Although, no, a lot of people on my friends on Facebook from high school are like, I remember that. Carboni wouldn't give us our diplomas.
Do we have that? Is it a yearbook picture of me? Is it a senior picture?
It's his senior quote.
So his dad sent posted this online on Twitter, but we put it on our Instagram as well. His name's Alexander Whitby, and his senior quote is, "Don't do your best, do my best." Credited to you, Adam.
I shared that with Sonny last night. He was like, "Yeah, all right." The kid's literally, I could put
what's for dinner or not, I don't care.
I could put a cigarette out on his forehead right now and he wouldn't blink.
He's gonna call in soon. I'm talking to his
dad.
good.
Sonny?
Yeah.
It's just a waste of my time.
Made me laugh. All right, one last one. Sorry, where were you there? Doug, 50, Arizona?
Yeah, it's what's going on.
Hey, man.
That was some funny stuff right there.
Thanks. What's going on?
Hey, Well, after the last 3 years of being just inundated with CNN and all the craziness and how quote unquote racist this country is and how hateful, the worst person in the world is the white man, and the 300 million plus guns that we have in the world and just how dangerous it is. Kind of
in this country, by the way, the 300 million plus. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to shit on I know Ball just shit on your point about the COVID spike, but I would think that there's going to be a spike in racist attacks, right? Because the country's so racist and they're seeing so much of this kind of inner city stuff going on that's not sitting well with people. So to make the equation whole with CNN and them, I would think then, here in the next few days or even weeks, there should be some just horrible attacks because people just aren't happy with those people doing those things, right?
Yeah,
that's how it works out,
no, it's never going to happen. I know. I get what you're saying. Look, what CNN does with the Klan and racism is what they do with COVID-19, which is they take something that exists and then they turn it into something that's ubiquitous that we all need to fear. There's a difference between something existing and something that we all need to fear all the time. So while COVID-19 exists, and that's much more ubiquitous, obviously, than racism and the Klan and whatever. While you need to have respect for this, it doesn't mean it's the size that it is. I know one person, Bean, from Kevin and Bean, he got it. It passed through him. His wife evidently got it, but it didn't affect her, and he followed all the rules and still got it. That is not the same as a first-rate killer that's coming for you, and the same with the Klan and white supremacy. It's talked about constantly, but your chances of ever really running up against it are slim to none. Okay, let's take a break. Adam Ray is waiting for us. Oh, let me hit a spot here. Cooler Shock. I love this. Reusable premium ice pack, colder than ice by I know it sounds like a Foreigner song, but it's colder than ice by 14 degrees, and it's clean. It's no bacteria-laden water left behind in the cooler. Nothing worse than the next day when the ice all melts and it's heavy and you're sloshing around and getting all the mildew on it. Made in the USA. Average 4.7 stars on Amazon with almost 7,000 reviews. Ready for your freezer when you need it. Avoid the trip to the store during quarantine and getting the heavy bags of ice that break open and melt and everything else. It's a variety of soft and hard packs, even a 16-pound pack with built-in thermometer as well. Fishing, camping, hunting, long road trips, even going to the farmer's market. This thing's great. I have one. I use it all the time. It's the best pricing you can get, by the way. Go to coolershock.com. Use the coupon code Adam for 10% off. It's a great product, and it's good for the environment, too, and it's good on your back and your wallet. Coolershock.com. Use coupon code Adam. Save the 10%. Or you can find them on Amazon as well. All right, quick break. We'll come back with Adam Ray right after this. All right, Adam Ray is with us. Adam Ray has got some stand-up dates coming up. Scottsdale, Arizona this weekend, the 5th through the 7th. And, of course, the podcast about last night as well, available on Apple Podcasts. Good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you guys. How are you?
You're back in L.A.?
Welcome back.
I'm back in L.A. I did a first stab at stand-up in almost 3 months, I realized as I was getting ready to go on stage. I don't know if you had this same feeling, Ad, but it was this weird mixture of like, I'm excited, but then like a weird amount of nerves started to settle in. Like kind of like the first time, I don't know if you remember the first time you slow danced with a girl that had like actual, like like full boobs, like, 7th, 8th grade, where you're like, oh man, I think I know where to put my hands, but it's been a while. And it felt like that on stage with jokes, but then, got laughs and kind of settled in. But, everyone had their own mics. So I was up there kind of taking the mic out of mine and plugging it in, but then it didn't work. So I grabbed somebody else's stand and right off the bat, and then some guy yells out. And as soon as I finally get settled and go into the mic, I go, "Comedy's back." And then some guy up front goes, "You look like you were trying to find the clit." And I was like, hey man, I'll take it from here. Like, don't right out of the gate be the first one to get a laugh. That's not going to do anything for my my mojo. But Utah is.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was talking to Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub about this yesterday on their podcast, and I said when I went out, comedians are constantly worried about reps, and most comedians will tell you if they took 3 days off, their game would heavily be affected. And they look at it a lot like a basketball player, like LeBron James was saying, hey, I can't just come back and do the playoffs. I got to get some reps. And most comedians feel that way. But I think it's a little bit of a misnomer because I hit the stage and I felt fine almost immediately and went right into the act. And I think
it's, same with like a LeBron. As soon as he hits his first turnaround jump shot, he's like, oh yeah, it's muscle memory. And you can't do something, I think, for that long and that have it be that much a part of your fiber and your being to where but also I can understand the break in the action and having some trepidations about like, am I gonna forget a bit? And it's like, yeah, that might happen. You might forget a play on the court. I stumbled over a few words and but it's not like it wasn't a complete. Also, Utah is a very forgiving, methy crowd, so it's like they were all fired up to be there, and so that helped that there was like a built-in support system. I only got to do shows Friday because Saturday, I don't know if you saw the footage of the guy with the bow and arrow, which I thought about going down there to give him free tickets. That was a couple blocks from the club, Wise Guys, so. They put on a curfew after that guy. I mean, you just can't go full Robin Hood during a fucking protest. And I understand that guy was just looking to cause a ruckus, and so that shut down the Saturday shows. So he just did Friday. So now in Arizona, even with the curfew this week, we're doing 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. shows. Brad's down there too.
Really?
So we're gonna be done at like 8 o'clock because you have to be. So we're like, all right, now we got the free time. I think Brad's staying in some mansion with a porn star or some fucking, I don't know,
that checks out.
Like some sort of so we'll have a free evening, but they're adjusting. And in Arizona, obviously, as I'm sure you've heard, it's just it's like I think they might have shut down one Arby's, but everything else was just let's fucking let the good times roll.
God bless them. I had the same thing in Houston.
Did you?
Yeah, went to the Houston Improv. Same thing.
Yeah.
But it's interesting psychologically. I think a lot of comedians do what women do who have eating disorders. Like they go, I have one scoop of froyo, it goes right to my hips. Like, sweetie, you're 118 pounds. I take 1 day off working out. I put on 40 pounds of cellulite. Like, it's not necessary. Comedians will kind of impose that on themselves. Like if I go one night without doing 5 sets, I will lose my. And I think they're saying it to motivate themselves. But the reality is all the comedians I've spoken to, including myself, took 3 months off of standing up, holding a microphone and telling jokes. And everyone walked right out on that stage and basically picked up where they left off. Yeah. So I don't know how much of that is true. But again, I think it's one of the things we feed ourselves to motivate ourselves that we do so often in life.
And by the way, Utah, it was like they went full, at a certain point, you're just like, we get it. You're not Mormon anymore. Like,
oh no, I have thoughts. I have thoughts about Utah. I have the same thoughts about Utah as I have about the Japanese culture. The Japanese people.
You tell.
Okay.
I've said it many times.
I've said it many times. There's two types of Japanese. There is button down, wearing a tie, high and bowing and super respectful with, clean cut hair and no facial hair. And then there's crazy, slammed, Acura, Bukkake star, spiked green hair, Fast and Furious extra, like crazed. Not the middle of the road so much. You know what I mean? Like, Whitey does the middle of the road. That's the 40-something-year-old dad, and he's wearing Van slip-ons. He's got a couple of bracelets. He's got a little bit of a sleeve. His oldest daughter is bi, and he's cool with it. But he also works. He also makes 6 figures and has a pretty good job. Japanese
He's like, prove it. show me the video if you're bi, right? He's just kind of like accepting, but a little
Japanese
aggressive.
go full button down or full bust out bukkake. Utah, same thing. It's either the Mormons, they're praying and they're super devout, or it's the person that's completely sleeved, aggressive piercings, and they're going to let you know they're not that dude.
Oh, yeah.
Flicks.
What's that?
Wait, what?
There was a documentary called Clean Flicks about a Mormon fellow who ran a sort of blockbuster competitor for Mormons, and it was all edited out. He personally edited out of the contents of all the objectionable content. Huge spoiler. He was into some weird stuff by the end of the movie.
No,
you're gonna find this very hard to believe.
Was he into a button-down bukkake? By the way, there was one gal in the during the show who made a point about being Mormon, and then she went on to tell me later in the show, because I asked, just spontaneously, I was like, "Is there an actual position?" Like, I was like, "There's got to be people trying to make quarantine babies during all this." And then some woman raised her hand. I go, "Oh, is there any position that you can do to try to get what you want?" And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "My husband and I did this thing. We've been trying for a while. We wanted a boy where he flipped me upside down and on a beanbag and fucked me on the beanbag." And I go, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, you call it the jackhammer."
I was gonna say.
And then I was like, "I'm actually
driver.
more." Yeah. And I was like, "I'm actually," the part that stuck out to me was, I was like, "Why were you fucking on a beanbag?" She goes, "Hey, you know what? It happens. It happens." I was like, "I can't argue with that." Yeah.
But sorry. You were telling us off the air that you were just getting ready to respond to some hate mail or something, and the story behind that. But I just said save it for the air, so I don't know what the story was.
Well, we'll see if it's airworthy. I mean, look, everyone, this is a sensitive as fuck time, obviously, and I think, I'm trying to do my best to like only be on social media for the right stuff. To quote Donnie and the rest of the new kids. But I think there are times when you find yourself getting fired up for the wrong things. And I did this kid Nick Vielle from the Bachelor's podcast called Ask Nick, where people hit him up with like it's a whole bunch of girls that want to fuck him, and then they're hitting him up being like wanting actual advice about relationships in life. And there was actually this couple, this Mormon gal, and her husband been married since they were 17. They have now they're in their 30s, and they're the only partner, and she's like having doubts, and she's like, "I'm not sexually attracted. Now I'm playing the field." And I told him he's got to. So now I'm coming in being like, I'm here for comedy purposes. He didn't ask me to come on to be like, "Dude, we really that's usually something that I would do. If I get asked to do Ask Nick, I will give legit advice from a medical professional standpoint and tell you, look, if you have only fucked one partner, I think it's time to get out there and start look, I'm not saying open a glory hole, but I'm not saying don't do it. Okay. We'll be right back. But so I would give advice through a comedian's perspective and making jokes. And dude, I just got an onslaught when it was posted, I think yesterday or the day before, of people being like, "Not funny at all, poor timing, cringeworthy. His advice wasn't even real advice." And it's like, I know what I'm doing as far as like what I was trying to, I've got a healthy amount of relationship experience to try to give some sort of a perspective. But man, it was like, still when that's maybe not your audience, it's still tough to just, especially I guess right now.
I like everyone telling you it was a bad take. Like your take, bad take, dude. And all that shit. Fuck all you pussies.
And I commented. I can't help but comment. One woman, I look up the profiles and then I just roast them like crowd work. One woman, she goes,
her name was Susie Homemaker.
Oh man, this one woman goes, what did she say? She goes, "Poor timing, so bad." I mean, just like Trump type stuff, like sad. And then she goes, "How would you know what funny is?" And then she goes, she goes, "Non-comedians can't judge comedy." I go, "They can't." I go, "But your husband can." I go, "He looks like he was made in a Jim Henson's Creature Shop." I mean, this guy looked like Statler meets Waldorf, but then got fucking bukkake'd on by Gonzo. I didn't put that in the comment. I thought that, and I wrote something else.
The subtext was clear.
Well,
but sometimes you just got to lay in,
It's interesting. I got some shit a few days ago because I was watching the news, and I was watching all these crowds on Melrose or Fairfax, and they're burning cop cars. And I had this thought, and I just thought, hey, L.A., like citizens of L.A., if you're going to burn cop cars, please start with the meter maids. Because fuck those guys, you know. And
reasonable.
And I had
very
this
reasonable.
I had this joke in my head, which is like, fuck meter maids. I've always hated meter maids. And then I thought, and then I
fuck
thought
Minute Maid, by the way. Too much pulp. Keep going.
And I fuck Minute Maid. And I thought, wait a minute. I thought about it. It made me smile. I'm now going to tweet it out there. I know it's going to piss off everybody. But on the other hand, folks, what really are we here to do? You know, I'm a comedian. I want to tell jokes. I want to I want to say what I think. At a certain point, you're just going to have to do it. And then there's always going to be the person, a bad take or bad timing. Well, of course, it's bad timing. They're burning cop cars. I wouldn't say this in the middle of a usual June or May. I would probably not reference this. And of course, you'd have no context for it because we wouldn't be burning cop cars. We have to pick a time when we are burning cop cars. Yes.
Oh, I was on a Zoom with my brother-in-law, Dirte, who I mentioned last time with the fucking filthy story in front of my nieces.
Right.
Great guy. And a couple buddies. And I made a joke about how I miss coughing in people's mouths and sneezing on food. And one of my buddies is like, he just kind of like shakes his head. And I go, what? And he was like, I don't know, man. I think it's just right now to do that right now. And I go, dude, you are. And by the way, this isn't just like adults of like that. I was a part of my niece's show and tell. Did I tell you guys this last time?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay, so my niece, for her class, she's 10, does a show and tell. She wants to show me off to her class. I'm like, awesome. This is adorable. I get on there. She's like, this is my Uncle Adam, and he's got cool shoes, and he knows famous people. He's like, all right, Brookie, you should have fucking rehearsed that. Hey, guys, how are you? Good to be here. And I started making some things about how great it is to live in Seattle and the Northwest and the trees. And you guys, man, I've traveled all over. This is the best. And talked about what's your favorite subjects, and they all yell at once like they're on The Price is Right. I'm like, I didn't hear any of that shit, but sounds like you guys are enjoying it, and make sure that you really, if you know, my favorite subject was math because that was my worst, and I worked hard, and the challenge was exciting. And then I was like, you guys want me to do some comedy? And they're like, yeah. So I find these like weird knock jokes. I do a bunch. They're all guessing the answers adorably. There's one tiny kid named Nathan with a fucking rat tail and one giant like mole right here. And he was so cute and so like laughing so hard. Sometimes kids, they just know that the joke is a joke. He doesn't really listen to the context, but every joke he was just like
laughing
and losing his fucking mind. To her at one point I go, hey Nathan, man, it's coming off condescending now. Just listen to the joke and respond accordingly.
It's like he's at the Apollo.
Yeah, dude. So then I do a joke. Why was the teacher wearing sunglasses? And they're all yelling, because she thinks she's cool. And I'm like, all right. I go, no, it's because her students were too bright. And they all lose their shit. And then the joke that I do that I thought was going to be the closer ends up walking the principal, who was on the Zoom for some reason. And here's the joke. I go, let me mix it up a little. Knock jokes. We covered those. Mission accomplished. I go, hey guys, what did the traffic lights say to the truck? And they go, what? And I go, I decided to do a little voice. I go, stop watching me. I'm changing. Principal does this.
Really?
Click, and just signs off the Zoom.
Wow.
Why?
I walked the principal.
What?
Because, and then she texts my sister, and my sister called me. She's like, what did you do? I go, I did some funny voice about a traffic light changing. She's like, she said you said something about a truck taking its clothes off. I go, what?
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. So just, yeah. So needless to say, I probably will not be asked back to.
Well, if you're looking.
I have to say 6 feet away from the computer now.
If you're looking for it, you're going to find it. The question is, why are we all looking for it now? Right. You know what I mean? Like, remember 10 minutes ago, we were accusing Katy Perry of making racist shoes.
Oh, did she really?
Oh, she
made it in many colors. One of them was black.
She made it black. She was making shoes that had faces on them, red shoes, white shoes, but the black shoe with the face was now racist. We're getting up there with
look kind of blackface.
Okay.
Not great.
I mean,
well, no. Yes, great. It's fine. It's just a black shoe with a face on it. The real racism is
it's a black shoe. It's not a black face, right?
It's this like
black shoe face.
Black shoe face. There it is.
It's sort of like the real racism is when we do the Jimmy Fallon blackface sort of thing, where it's like that's not blackface. That's him doing Chris Rock.
He's still apologizing.
Oh, is he still apologizing?
Yeah, I saw like it was like a very special episode headline, and I can't remember who the guest was, but it says Jimmy once again apologizes for blackface.
Yeah. He's apologizing to every black person in America personally, one by one.
I mean, yeah, I do a carpet bombing when I apologize to a race. I just hit them all at once. But this, again, it's interesting to me. The insidious, scary part is the apology. It's not the fucking pussy nut job who unearthed footage from NBC from 20 years ago. It's not that person. That person is just the worst person in the world who you'd never want to fucking spend time with and has no life. It's the people who apologize because what that fucking nudnik, fucking horrible person did, what that person did forces you to apologize. It's the forced apology that feels Orwellian and creepy and dystopian and weird to me. It feels kid in the cornfield, Twilight Zone. Oh no, Billy, what you done was a good thing. It was a real good thing. Like that's the scary, freaky part of it. The part where everyone feels like they're going to lose their status, or they're going to lose their livelihood, or they're going to lose their position in our society. So they just apologize over, I don't even know what Fallon was doing. First off, there's got to be a statute of limitations on apologies. That thing aired 150 times in the last 20 years. If you weren't offended then you can't be offended now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we talked about his quote saying, he's deeply horrified and embarrassed. And then he said he was going to be on to talk to Don Lemon about it. And now just the E! News headline from 9 hours ago, Jimmy Fallon addresses blackface controversy, quote, "I am not a racist."
Yeah.
He shouldn't even have to say that.
I'm so jealous of the Don Lemons of the world. I would love it to just be the white arbiter of truth. You know what I mean? Like, hey, white guys, you got an issue? You want to talk about white issues? Adam Ray, you want to know why we wear socks with sandals?
Finally, break the silence on that.
Yeah, I'll explain that to you. You pay me. I'll talk to you about it off the air. Gina, bald, any white guy stuff. Sometimes white guys will wear suspenders and a belt. You want to know the answers to that?
I would.
Why do black guys look so much cooler with shaved heads than us?
We can get to all that stuff. But remember, as a white man, I speak for all white men, and I shall be the arbiter of all things white, okay? Okay, Don Lemon, we'll go to you, and we'll ask to kiss the ring so that you can just go ahead. Oh, it's so fucked up. Like, what the fuck does Don Lemon have to talk to Jimmy Fallon about doing Chris Rock from 20 years ago? And then I do love the part where you have to explain you're not a racist. Does anybody on the planet think Jimmy Fallon's a racist?
Oh, of course not.
I think you like, especially once you have a book of just look at your resume. Like has there been any other, like, can you pull this up and then go track something back from like, oh, this wasn't the first time. Like, here's another example. And then if those chips start to like stack up, but there's none of that, so
as I've always said, in order to be an arsonist, you have to strike a match and light something on fire. You can't just be an arsonist in your heart. We now fucked up this society so much that we're accusing everyone of being an arsonist, even though they've never set a structure on fire or never lit a forest fire. And it's like, you may have never done anything like that, but you're still an arsonist. And now we've opened it up, which is you don't even know you're an arsonist. You just are. There's a new brand of racist, which is you don't think you're racist. You've never done anything racist. You don't know it. You are. De facto. You're born into it. That's the society we've created. You're participating in racism and you have no idea. You don't even think you're racist. Oh, well, that's going to be a tough argument to have.
You're an asymptomatic carrier.
By the way, do you think at what point do they bring in, like, is Smokey the Bear just chilling right now? Like, he's like, boy, just no need. Like, guys, let me know if you want me to pull in for a quick, like, only you can prevent protest fires,
Hey,
it's probably not a bad time to resurrect the career.
Can we talk to Robert Downey Jr. about his character on Tropic Thunder? Speaking of this subject, because that's quite controversial. Robert?
Well, yes. Sure. So first of all, it was a movie, a comedy years ago, but it was a lot of fun. When I first got asked to do the role, for a long time, I wanted to play different characters. I want to play somebody with Down syndrome. I want to play a dwarf, but that was already taken by Brett Williams. I don't know if you saw him. He's been in most Disney shows. So then the last thing was to take on somebody of a different color, and I think it was fine. I think I did the voice. I think
but can't you see now with a little bit of distance, especially what's going on, and
well, it was ahead of my time. It was a different time. It was
right, but don't you think you should apologize? Jimmy Fallon apologized. This was not about
this
the
is
same.
After that.
This is after that. Yeah,
a few years after.
Yeah. Sure, and I hear you. Sure, and I hear you, and I get it. And if I could borrow your fleshlight at some point, that'd be great. But I think that there's something to be said about, look, mine was believable. Jimmy Fallon's was clearly a joke. It wasn't. He didn't commit to it. Mine was. Everybody thought after the film.
That makes
it more
egregious.
Like,
that makes it more egregious to us.
Well, did I not have a good black eye mustache? I mean,
could you just apologize, please, or issue a statement?
Sure. I'm sorry for putting on a performance worthy of an Academy Award in a comedy, which never gets recognized. But I'm sorry for being so believable that people got disgusted about my performance. Did you show up late to Iron Man and your seats were taken by somebody?
It just sounds grandiose. It doesn't sound like a sincere apology, Robert.
I'm sorry. Oops. I'm sorry for being talented. Is that what you?
We have the quote from Jimmy Fallon. We have.
Well, this is from the Variety article that covered it, but he goes.
There's a Variety article that covered it.
Yeah, so he goes. We need to.
Why do we need to cover something that's 20 years old? Okay, sorry, Variety. Sorry.
So Fallon says he told his viewers, we need to start with ourselves and looking at ourselves in the mirror. I had to really examine myself in the mirror this week because a story came out about me on SNL doing an impression of Chris Rock in blackface, and I was horrified. Not of people trying to cancel me or cancel the show, which is scary enough, but the thing that haunted me the most was, how do I say I love this person?
What? Oh, himself?
Yeah.
He was haunted? He's haunted himself?
Yeah.
Like Barbara Hershey?
And then, he says he respects Chris Rock more than I respect most humans. I'm not racist. I don't feel this way.
Was Barbara Hershey in that movie, The Haunting? You got to look it up.
On your own.
She famously got her titties felt by a ghost in a movie. Or maybe not that famously, since I'm the only one who knows it. But
by the way, now can you get it Me Too'd by a ghost?
I am telling you, she was raped by a ghost in a movie from the 80s, called The Haunting or something. The Entity.
Dude, the 80s was just swinging from the hips on, they were just like, look, this is not going to be okay in about 20, 25 years.
Here's why I would
get all the ghost rape movies into production.
I would be the worst Variety reporter. You be my editor, Brian. And explain to me what my next assignment is, which is to go talk to Jimmy Fallon about blackface.
Hey, Dave, come in the office here. Close the door if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Some sensitive material.
Hey, I wanted to pitch a whole cartel thing about this. Do you know that they're doing human trafficking, that the cartels are not only into fentanyl, but they're doing human trafficking as well?
That sounds important, and I want to hear that pitch in about a week because I have an urgent assignment for you, something even more important.
You build the wall, but the wall's not going to stop a tunnel. They tunnel under that wall. Do you know some of those tunnels are over 3 miles long? They bring fentanyl in that way. They're doing human trafficking. A lot of those cartels are set up in the Southland. Now I'm thinking,
wow, I wish that impacted me more, but I'm still processing.
But I'm thinking,
this news.
There's undercover and then there's deep cover. Okay. I'm thinking deep cover. I'm thinking fake mustache, passport, whole 9 yards.
You nailed this next story and the world is yours. I'll give you all the fake mustaches you can handle.
Okay.
First, I need you. Now, you may have heard the news. You may have not. It's breaking. It's kind of everywhere. And honestly, people are a little upset by it. Jimmy Fallon?
Is he involved with one of the cartels or something? The jack-off comedian who does the...
No, forget about the cartel. Yeah, the comedian. I'm making air quotes.
Oh, yeah, he plays the guitar and does like Bruce Springsteen impersonation. Right, that jack-off. What's that lightweight up there?
That's not all he does. He's in a little bit of, There's a serious controversy around Jimmy Fallon, and it's breaking right now. And I want you to write the profile for Variety. You're thinking front page story.
He got Me Too'd. What was he with Harvey? High-fiving, tag teaming the Barbie twins. What was he? Balls deep in a couple starlets. What's up? They crossed the line.
We all wish that was the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's he raping?
Get ready. Unfortunately, I'm glad you're sitting down for this. He appeared in, I don't even want to say it out loud, Blackface. Are you familiar with Blackface?
The old minstrel show thing?
And harkening back to when they used to suppress the black.
He was in a minstrel show?
No, this was 20 years ago on Saturday Night Live. It aired in front of, let me check here. Yeah, it aired in front of 15 million people and actually appears on his Best of DVD and also the Best of 2000, Best of the 2000s and Best of 2000. All right,
but let's just get to, I don't want to be.
But it's been unearthed.
I'm not Ronan Farrow here, but who'd he rape after the show? After he did the whole, what did you say, Chris Rock thing or something?
Oh, no, he became a beloved late night host, which he still is. But this is the back 20 years ago. We have to, write an expose, front page, and maybe a series. Maybe it goes all week.
You see that show Cocaine Cowboys about how they brought the cocaine in through Miami and they had that one Black Widow chick.
Griselda, right? Griselda.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. What were we talking about with Fallon again?
Did Griselda wear blackface? Because we're not doing a story on that otherwise.
I'm confused. What we're doing a profile on Jimmy Fallon? The guy's a lightweight. He's not even funny. He's Weird Al with acoustic guitar. What? I'm not sure what we're doing.
It's definitely not funny. When you see the footage, you're gonna have a beside yourself.
So somebody dug up footage that's never been seen before?
It's resurfaced. Oh no, it was seen by 15 million people at the time. The DVDs, the best ofs, have gone on to sell an additional 20 million copies.
Are you saying
it's widely distributed?
You've blown the lid off of something that never had a lid on it?
We're about to blow the lid off this non-existent lidded story. Yes, exactly. I'm glad you're on my side.
And you want me to talk to him about what?
No, don't talk to him. Simply write the story, and we'll run it on the front page.
Brian, I'll take it from here.
Please, Dr. Phil. I'm glad you finally spoke up. It was awkward to have you in the corner of the room.
Sorry for ignoring you for as long as we did.
I sit in silence, okay, like Tiger Woods, and then I wait for my opportunity to take my pants off. Now, where did he touch you?
Oh no! Oh, Fallon.
Yeah. Now I tried to follow as much as possible, and at some point, just have to pick up where I left off. So, did Fallon touch you?
No, I'm unclear why we're even talking about Fallon. I came in here to talk about deep cover in a narco state north of the border, south of the border, and infiltrating some of those drug cartels. They're running underage girls as well as fentanyl. It's not, everyone thinks it's all about drugs. Oh, they're done. They're done with drugs. They're into human trafficking now. And I want to go into
Are these underage girls wearing blackface? Because I fail to see why this is relevant.
I don't know why you keep bringing that up, Brett. I feel like we're here to do hard-nosed reporting, and I'm your man. The reason I left the Washington Post was to actually do some stories with some meat on the bone. Dr. Phil, I know we're doing an expose on you, and I probably interrupted your interview.
No, it's fine. And Brett, your constant demeaning of a comedian makes me again wonder, and I'm going to circle back and put the attention on you, Brett. Where did he touch you?
He didn't. There was no touch.
I don't believe you, and I'm going to. Okay, well, hold your hand up. Hold your other hand up. Tilt them back, and just kind of act like you're doing an air push-up.
Okay.
Now, in my experience, people who haven't been touched can't raise the roof.
And scene.
Now,
all right, let's see. What do you got going longer on that?
Oh my God! If that was our improv team's pilot night, and when we invited out Comedy Central and all the execs, would we have gotten a show?
Oh my God!
We probably either gotten a folding chair thrown at us at minute 7, or we would have got picked up for season 3 in advance. It'd be one or the other.
In the room. Yeah.
All right. Let me hit Method Man, and then we'll get into some news. Method Man, fresh approach to grooming. Stay clean. Stay fresh. Fuss-free. You got the body washes. They have the one that smells like the sea and the surf and the cedar. It's so nice. I'm actually wearing their deodorant right now. Max Pata, what do you got going over there?
I've been using the Cedar Cypress body wash, and I smell delightful.
And I got a much taller order because I got a lot more body hair than you do.
Yeah.
Method Man body washes and bar soaps as well. Nature-inspired fragrances, all plant-based, all lather, quick and clean. And like I said, the deodorant's really good too because it doesn't smell like deodorant. It doesn't smell like that red zone stuff, ultra sport. It's
not overbearing.
It smells good. Yeah, 15% off with the code Adam. When you buy online, you go to Method Men, METHODMEN.com. Go to methodmen.com and get fresh without the fuss. All right, let's take a quick break. Come right back to the news with Adam Ray right after this.
Give me the news with Grad, news with Gina Grad, breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad, trouble in the Middle East, celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
So there are autopsy reports coming out now about George Floyd. And, I'm not sure who was or was not calling into question, but the death of George Floyd on May 25th at the hands of the Minneapolis police was a homicide, according to two separate autopsies that was revealed Monday. According to an independent autopsy commissioned by Floyd's family, his death was due to asphyxia caused by compression to his neck and back that led to a lack of blood flow to his brain. A second autopsy done by Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office said that Floyd died from cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement, subdual restraint, and neck compression while he was being held down by the police. So some information coming out that he had some, underlying conditions, but it certainly would constrict any of our airways if there was a knee on our neck.
I talked to Drew about it. He had some underlying stuff. He also evidently had some fentanyl in him, but that's not why he died. It was still having the knee and the neck is what got him, according to Dr. Drew. I also then said to Dr. Drew, fentanyl, is that now going to be like, when they swab down a phone or computer keyboard and they find traces of fecal matter on it? Like, is everyone just in America going to have little traces of fentanyl in them? Because
supposedly every dollar bill has $100 bill has cocaine on it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's murder. It's a cop. I had a theory. Whenever somebody does something that seems like it defies logic with witnesses, like, you tell me about autoerotic asphyxiation, pardon the connection, but you tell me about that, it makes sense all day long. You tell me about that with people watching and filming, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, that cop had his knee on that guy's neck for so long in front of so many people and were being filmed by those people.
And just committed and just
committed.
Almost 9 minutes.
My theory is my Mr. Walters theory. It's my gym coach, where the more you would push back on him, the more demerit points you got. Like, if you question him, you got more, which is part of what goes along. And I said to Chris, just get 30 seconds. I wanted to hear what the crowd was saying to him, because the crowd saying get off him meant I'm going to add 2 minutes for every time one of you civilians tells me what to do. Every time,
it's like the principal from the Breakfast Club.
Right.
You want another Saturday?
And they were calling him like a bum, like they called the officer a bum or something, and I think all that did was agitate him and make him do it longer to defy the people that were around him. I'll put together a little montage of
which
the
is exactly
sounds
what
of
you
it.
want in a cop, by the way. Just somebody whose ego gets in the way.
Right.
Bro, you could get him off the ground. You've been a bum right now. You could have put him in the car by now, bro. He's not resisting arrest or nothing.
Get him just
Get off of him now. What is wrong with y'all? What the? He got mace.
Bro, he has not moved not one time. Bro, he's not moving.
Let's stay put here. All right, tell my partners and them.
Bro, he's not even moving. Get off of
We'll figure things out, right?
Bro. You gonna just sit there with your knee on his neck, bro. You're a real man for that, bro. He ain't handcuffed, bro. You're a real man.
All right, it's hard to listen to, but I'm sticking with my theory. The more that guy was such a prick, the more sort of civilians, the people he has dominion over, and maybe
chimed in.
Many black people, the more people told him what to do, the less he was tended to do it.
He was digging in.
Yeah, he just
And then
looked at him.
And the next argument, once we get him all settled up, is what's up with his brothers, just
In
kind of
arms?
hanging around and
Well,
yeah,
that is
exactly.
that is like, I mean, look, him driving his knee into the neck like that is just so inexcusable. And one of my best friends, a cop out here, and he was just like, and I think there's been cops who've posted videos about it, saying that it's like, once you get him detained like that, there's no reason to be continuing to drive home the point like that, especially when they're not resisting. They're saying they can't. I mean, it just goes against everything that they're taught. But yeah, the guy, like the dude that's just holding down the fort and kind of
nothing to see here. Please disperse.
Oh, I mean, like that's, you just wonder, like, was he afraid to speak up to that cop? Like, what's their dynamic? Like, obviously the guy on the ground pulling out the mace, like,
He didn't look.
Unfortunately,
the other cops didn't look bright. That's number one. Like they had a very
just looked
vacant,
like
weird look.
told what to do. Like, we got the guard and protect.
I'm telling you, I am wired to hate the people who stand around in uniform in this case and not do anything. The guy with the knee in the neck, that guy's a psychopath. What are the excuses for the other three people that did nothing? And there was a case many years ago. It was that Vegas case. It was a crazy case. It was like 4 a.m. Some dude had gone in to gamble at one of those like Cactus Pete's or Binion's or something, like kind of off-brand.
Terribles.
Yeah. A guy had gone in at one of those border places, Nevada border places, to gamble at like 4 a.m. And of course, he brought his 6-year-old with him.
Oh.
And then, of course, he was going to gamble all night, let her run around. She ran into a restaurant. No, sorry. She ran into a restroom.
The bathroom.
The weird 19-year-old dude showed up with his friend. The one guy goes into the bathroom, kills her. I don't know if he raped her and killed her, but he kills her. The other guy just kind of stands by the door, and they don't charge the other guy. And when they're interviewing the other guy, he's kind of non-committal about it. He's like, yeah, my buddy went in there, he's taking care of business. Like, hey, I'm not going to tell him what. And people kept going like, well, didn't you think it was your job to tell him? It's like, hey, man, it's not my job. Not my job. And everyone hated him. And he tried to get into Cal Berkeley, and they tried to eject him from there's like a big petition and everything. But I don't know if you guys are like me. I can wrap my mind around the homicidal cop, and I can wrap my mind around the weird serial killer, rapist, casino guy.
We've seen that.
I can't wrap my mind around the regular person who stands there and just goes, hey, man, no harm,
and
no
there
foul.
was three, like not, and even if it was 2, you go, yeah, well, good. Of course, there was going to be one that was going to chime in and actually, take some action and be like, yo, dude, you got him. Like, I'm still going to be a fucking disciplined cop and kind of a dick, but even for me, this is too much.
Well, I've said many times, criminals don't fear the camera like we thought they would. We thought we'd put surveillance and Ring doorbell stuff up, and every liquor store would have and they just went, fuck it. We're going to go loot this van store, and you can just film us doing it. They don't fear it. The cops don't have the right relationship with the camera either. There's people filming you for fucking 10 minutes while your knee's on this guy's neck. You're not thinking about the consequences of that?
Well, do you think he just thought like, I'm gonna get away with, like, they're gonna, like, there's enough for me to say that he was doing that they don't have on camera, or that he did prior to this? Like, maybe they just pulled it out at a time where he can be like, well, before this, you didn't see he was doing this. And also,
but before this, you were tussling with him inside the car.
Yeah, no shit.
But that's the, you bring up a really good point, Adam Ray, about the, like the peer pressure aspect, because you think of like isn't it called the Milgram experiment, that famous experiment where they pretended there was another person in another room being shocked. And, keep turning it up. And you hear someone screaming, they're an actor, but the test subject doesn't know that. Like, no, he's fine. I'm like, I don't feel good about this, but they keep turning it up because they're being told to.
Yeah, they're ordered to.
Yeah, they're ordered to. They're pressured to. They're going, I don't feel good about it. It's fine. So the peer pressure, they just keep turning up while this person's screaming for their life. Obviously not real, but they don't know that. So in this situation, these cops who, Adam Carolla, you mentioned, don't look like they graduated at the top of their class. And maybe this guy is kind of the boss man, the bully. There's a crowd. They don't want to look weak. They don't want to look like they're turning on a fellow officer. It's like they just went dead. They just went blank.
The case I was talking about was from 1997 from Prim, Nevada, 7-year-old girl. And the guy his friend went in and molested and killed her. She was 7. And then the guy was never prosecuted. The guy was just hanging out in front of the bathroom. And then later on, when he got interviewed a few weeks later by the LA Times, he's like, I don't dwell on it.
Yeah, he's quoted saying, I'm not going to get upset over somebody else's life. I just worry about myself first. I'm not going to lose sleep over somebody else's problems.
So he's a psychopath too.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Well, there's no way in this climate with what's going on now, those dudes are going to walk. Is there?
No way. No way. Look, even if it's just a business decision, like, hey, sorry, but we can't have the entire country burned down. They can't do it.
Question: how much? And this is obviously like, not citizen responsibility, but how? I don't know how many people were on looking, but I mean, what has to happen has there been any discussion about like, obviously the people watching knew that if they were to intervene or finally just say, hey, enough's enough, they would run in there. But like when he pulled the mace out, it was like, because you have to wonder too, like, all right, they are filming. If somebody were to like jump in there and at least try to get him off his neck momentarily, would he put his knee back? Would he?
Then you're next.
Would he shoot that onlooker? Would he what could he like in that moment? I guess there's so much to take in, but I'm watching being like, I wonder what those cops really would. I mean, probably the guy holding front at the in front of George Floyd probably would have like tackled him on the ground, and done the same thing, but or maybe that would have caused enough of a commotion to get them off. And then what? He goes to jail for the night, and then everyone sees a tape and they go, all right, well, this guy clearly didn't do anything wrong. He was just trying to save a life. But
the reality is sadly, I mean, you can't expect him to fight the cops, but sadly, if they all just walked away, I bet he would have lifted his knee moments after that.
Wow, you think?
I think he was doing it as a display of power. I think the more
proving a point,
more because they were using expletives, they were calling him a bum. They were saying they were right, but what I'm saying is that guy's a bad dude, and that guy is wired. His wiring is faulty, and the more they called him an asshole and a bum and told him you can't do this, the longer he stayed. If everyone, let's just say hypothetically, everyone just walked away. Everyone just walked away in minute 2. You think he would have?
Who's he doing it for?
Just sat there for another 6 minutes. I think he
has no audience.
Sending a message, sad message.
When someone's tripping on power, the last thing they want to do, right, is
relent.
And go, you know what? I was being, especially, unfortunately, we've been conditioned to see this from cops in, countless videos and shows where it's just like, how many, one in a blue moon that's going to go, fuck, and stand up at like, there was no scenario where he pulls his leg up and just goes, God, I'm so, guys, I fucked up. And even if he doesn't say that and really kind of just, drop any sort of, front of how authoritative he is, but at least to acknowledge that in the moment. Cause I also find it hard to believe that, just being a fucking human being, that he didn't feel the moment and go, there wasn't a part of him that was like, fuck, like,
well, he's had other, Yeah, he's had other, like maybe like a dozen other complaints against him. It sounded like none of them had been followed through with any sort of disciplinary action, but other people have made complaints. And
was he just so deep into it that he was like, I can't let up now and apologize?
Well, let me
Doesn't seem
explain.
like an apologizer.
Let me explain what I think happens. Cops, the reason shit turns into shit is because cops grab someone and they start going, I'm going to cuff you, or I'm going to put you up against the wall or the hood of the car, and then the person pushes back, and then the cops escalate quickly, right? So what's happening is the cops go, I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to get you out of the car. I'm going to put you up against the wall. I'm going to handcuff you. And the second you say to that cop, no, or pull back or push off, it goes from 0 to 100 in a tenth of a second, right? It's full escalation. And what was going on there started as a physical escalation. Like, we want to get you in the car. I'm claustrophobic. I don't want to get in the car. So it starts as a physical thing. Next thing you know, he's on the ground with the knee on the neck. From that point on, it's emotional and verbal. Those people are going, hey, asshole, get off of him. And he's going, how do you like me now, bitches? Look at me. Look at this smile. Not the smile, but the look he had on his face of defiance. Yeah. And I believe that the more they told him what to do or what not to do or how to do his job, the more he just looked at him. Fire. And then he was like, get your camera out. Get a picture of it. Because you don't tell me what to do. That's what the cops do. It's you don't, you ever have a situation where a cop goes, hey, can I have license and ID? And you go, hey, can I ask you what your badge number is? Or it's immediately, it's on. It's immediate on. You've defied them. Yep. You've told them what to do. They're in that position because they tell you what to do. And he was looking at that crowd for an incredibly long period of time in this insane position, sending a message to them that you're not my boss. I do what I do, and you don't tell me what to do. I think that's what happened.
Way to do it. Yeah, you're probably
well,
right.
I think a message has been sent back.
Yes. Well,
last
bad
week
decision.
Or so.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, can I just give an update on his wife or soon-to-be ex-wife?
Yeah.
Oh, she changed her name, right?
Exactly. So I mentioned the other day she's filing for divorce.
Good.
But in the divorce from Derek Chauvin, Kelly requested a last name change and titles to both of their houses. She's been separated from her husband since May 28th, the day before he was charged with third-degree murder, second-degree manslaughter. The filing cites an irretrievable breakdown of the marriage that was beyond saving.
I'd like her. I don't know what she's doing, but if she wants to make $500 fast, she should come by my house.
Sell pictures of her feet.
I know where you're going.
I'll have her and Lynette sit down on the foot of the bed, and then we'll do a little game called "Why is your husband a dick?" And then Lynette will go first, and she'll go, well, this time we went to Costner's Ranch in Ventura County on the beach. We were supposed to stay this double wide after eating dinner with Kevin Costner. And when we got back to the double wide with the kids, my husband, Adam, wanted to drive back to Los Angeles and sleep in our own beds. It really upset the kids. Okay, your turn.
Your turn.
You go.
This is Chauvin, soon to be Smith, please.
Where do I start? I think she's like a pageant queen.
Yeah, I'm going to scoop that shit up.
Yeah.
I'm coming out to Minnesota.
Just swoop in?
By the way,
in.
This guy had for sure had shown some sort of this couldn't just be like all of a sudden out of nowhere. She was like, he was a great guy. He was like romantic and Valentine's Day, he laid out rose petals and he was a little aggressive in the shout. There's got to be something that came up that couldn't have been a complete blindside on this, right?
Well, and you know what, Adam, you're going to love her more because she doesn't want a dime from him. Apparently, she does very well as a realtor.
Fuck yeah!
And according to the filing, she doesn't want spousal support. She just wants out. She wants the house, and she wants her name changed. She wants to basically start over.
Mic drop.
Former Miss Minnesota. Or Mrs. Minnesota. Is that Mrs. Minnesota? Yeah, she's Mrs. Minnesota.
Mrs. Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah. Well, she's single.
How do you determine Mrs. versus Miss? Yeah, there's got to be a lot of... There's got to be some. There's got to be some single celebs out there that are looking for love and have a.
Maybe we go full
crown fetish.
We go full circle and get her with Kaepernick. You know what I mean? Like we really.
Oh wow, power couple.
Yeah, like we really.
Wow.
And you want to really punish that racist cop? Sure. Doing a few
Or
years
anything.
a hard time is good, but blowing Kaepernick, that's
Nothing
better.
will grind his gears.
Yeah.
That's right. We'll grind his gears. Right.
Oh man. Yeah, he's gonna have a rough time in jail for sure, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. What else? We got one more?
Sure. So let's shine a little bit of light before we get out of here on today's COVID-19 winner. We have some breaking Carol Baskin news. That bitch Carol Baskin.
Oh, yeah.
What'd she do?
Well, it's what she's gonna get. Carol is
Not my
declaring
zoo.
victory over her arch nemesis, Joe Exotic, after a court ruling that will allow her to take over his zoo in Oklahoma.
No.
Yep. The New York Post reports that a federal judge granted Baskin's Big Cat Rescue control of the Memorial Park in Wynwood,
By
Oklahoma.
the way, Big Cat Rescue sounds like a towing company, right? Like,
Yeah, he needs to change it to like Baskin's Pussy Farm.
right. Doug and Ernie over there work for Big Cats Rescue. They do. Well, they do a lot of 18-wheelers,
Yeah, we got a
school
stalled
buses,
semi out on the highway.
stuff like that. They don't do like compact cars, residential type stuff. But Big Cat, like the other day, there was some black ice on the ground, and a 18-wheeler cab went right over the edge, and only Big Cat Rescue could get that thing back up on the highway. Yeah,
That's right.
Sounds like like a History Channel show, like This Week on Big Cat Rescue, and the guy's like,
Yes.
the tensile strength on that cable's only 17,000 pounds. That rig's 200,000 pounds. It's going to show the thing teetering.
That's
Or
right.
it's like some weird sort of like Dog the Bounty Hunter type guy who calls himself Big Cat.
Yeah, calls
Right.
himself Cat.
And he wears like
Yeah.
overalls with no shirt, but his rescue is like a different type of rescue. He's like, well, I'm trying to rescue couples whose marriages are on the skids. So we got Ron and Debbie, and they've been unhappy for about 15 years, and so they called in the experts, Big Cat.
It's all
I'm
good.
gonna rescue their marriage. Yeah, it's all good.
Well-
Either way, well, good for her.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's not a one-to-one comparison, but it made me think of like getting Al Capone on a tax charge. This is basically she's wanted to take this zoo from him for years.
all she
for
wanted.
claims of abuse, whatever. She got it because apparently the property, the zoo, was fraudulently transferred years ago to Joe's mother in order to avoid paying Baskin for a $1 million trademark judgment. So it was kind of one of those loopholes, basically just paying her back. Joe, as you know, rose to fame for Tiger King. He was convicted last year for attempting to kill Carol Baskin, that bitch, by hiring a hitman and is currently serving a 22-year sentence.
What do we know anything about the Hitman?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was all over the series.
Oh,
he
he
is.
was?
Talk about dead-eyed.
Oh
Holy
yeah,
shit,
that was
he's terrifying.
Yeah, that guy was a fucking specimen if you've ever seen one. He was like Jason Momoa's stunt double. If Jason Momoa was playing a Nazi.
Yeah, or if
this
like
guy-
Jason Momoa is doing something from Deliverance, like
Yeah.
a one-man play.
I don't know etiquette. Can you haggle with hitmen? Like when they go, I need 5,000
Haggling
hitmen.
Risk. Great show, Haggling Hitmen.
Well, they go like, I need, it'd be like Pawn Stars. They go
After
like,
Pawn Stars.
I need $5,000 up front, $5,000 when the job's done. Okay.
Yeah. And JPEG sent to my Yahoo.
And then
There he is.
I mean, but can you say, how about 3,500 up front and $5,000 upon completion? Like this isn't an exact science. There's not a lot of comps. You know what I mean?
But you're arguing with a cold-blooded killer that has zero regard for human life, so maybe he's not the one to haggle with.
Yeah.
Just something to think about. I'm trying to protect you from yourself.
Haggle at your own risk.
Yeah.
But my argument to that is if you have taken up contract killing, like kind of low-grade contract killing, not cool mafioso stuff, low pedestrian contract killing, you're cash strapped. You could use some cash. You're late on a mortgage payment. If that's your business, you know what I mean?
That's a good point.
So
There might be some wiggle room.
I think it's dealing days. I think I got you. I think it's a buyer's market.
Well, what's exciting about this story also, Gina Grad, is that Carol Baskin's husband, I'm going to have an exclusive sit-down interview with him about her taking over Joe Exotic Zoo.
So, really? Dr. Phil?
That's breaking.
Yeah,
that's breaking news.
Everyone thinks he's dead, okay? But he's just dead financially. Physically, okay? He's been hiding out in Boca Raton for the last eight months or so. And we're going to do a Zoom. I'm going to try to fly him out. The show's budget's been a little tight during this pandemic, which is, hey, do we shut down the country for a car accident? Do we shut down the country when someone pulls their dick out at a Chuck E. Cheese? No, the band still plays for Nathan's birthday party. So,
Hey,
very good point.
Hey, Dr. Phil, can you ask the husband where the bullet touched him?
Well, Adam, look, we will have an opportunity for fans to submit questions. But I think, and I'd love to practice that with you now because, I am an artist. And just like most performers, I know that you have prepared material for your shows. I do like to make sure my delivery of the question is good. So why don't you play Carol Baskin's dead, I put that in quotes, husband. He'll be sitting across from me and I'll ask him where the bullet touched him. Here we go.
Okay.
Well, I can't believe you're alive, but I also can because we booked you. How are you?
I've been better, Phil.
Well, I've got one important question for you that I think the world would like to know. Where did that bullet touch you?
In the temple.
Let me try it one more time because I know you heard it, but I didn't feel it. Where did that bullet touch you?
Initially under the arm, but it traveled through my heart.
Okay. Now, when the bullet touched you, okay, and there's been rumors about this, were you also simultaneously touching yourself? Hold that thought. We'll be right back.
All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
Oh, you got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
All right. Tommy John working from home, sitting around, answering those emails, picking up the kids' toys, filling up the water bowl for the dog. You got to get your layers on, and it takes its toll on the layers, and Tommy John knows. It's got its ups and its downs. That's life, I mean. Tommy John underwear, they're making it more resilient now. It's 2 times more durable. And right now, for all my customers, or all their customers, I should say, and all my listeners, 25% off site-wide. I'm wearing my Tommy Johns right now. You can upgrade to the softest, most breathable fabrics you've ever worn. This stuff is no joke. The loungewear is so good. It's so comfortable. If you're hanging around, put on the Tommy John. The T-shirts are great. The underwear's great. No wedgie guarantee. No visible panty lines for the ladies. The stuff, it's the best. It's the best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free. Guarantee. Right, Dawson?
Hurry to TommyJohn.com/Adam and get 25% off your order. That's TommyJohn.com/Adam for 25% off orders. See site for details.
All right. I am going to be at Zany's in Nashville coming up June 12th and 13th, doing 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. We'll do a live podcast both nights, and we'll do stand-up both nights. So get those tickets. You can check out our YouTube page and see my stand-up there, Unprepared. A lot of it with Adam Ray. Adam Ray, stand-up, CB Live, Scottsdale, Arizona. That's Copper Blues, right? CB?
Yeah.
Copper Blues.
Yeah.
At Scottsdale, Arizona this weekend. That's the 5th through the 7th. And, of course, the podcast About Last Night, available on Apple Podcasts. And the animated series, Crossing Swords, it's available June 12th on Hulu.
The shows are adjusted too because of the curfew in Arizona. There's it's a 6 p.m. Friday, 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Saturday, and then 6 p.m. on Sunday. And I have a new walkout song. I used to come out to Foo Fighters, Learn to Fly, but now I come out to Panic by my brother-in-law Dirte. Hit it, Lags.
I make 'em panic. I make 'em panic. Turn you schizophrenic. Pacing in the attic. I make 'em panic. I make 'em panic. Take your breath away. Give it all to me. Every time I drop a gem.
I'll tell you what. This is my favorite Dirte song. Not to be outdone by my least favorite song, which is the first one I heard at his live concert, which was "I popped that pussy, I fucked that bitch," and I'm like looking at my buddy. I'm like, "Is this about my sister?" He's like, "I think so, but we don't know for sure." And he's like, "Natalie's the bitch's name." I was like, "And it is time to have a shot."
Is it better if it is about your sister or if it's about somebody else?
Way worse if it's about your sister.
But also, it's
at least he's popping that pussy.
At least he's popping hers. Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right. Keep it in house, locally grown and harvested pussy that you're popping. All right. So until next time, Adam Carolla for Adam Ray and Gina Grad and Ball Bryan saying mahalo.